Girl keeps losing her lunch money. Dad calls 911 after finding out why. Every week, little Sophie's lunch money seemed to vanish into thin air. Her father, Mark, was both puzzled and deeply concerned about this recurring mystery. Determined to uncover the truth, he began investigating, suspecting that someone at school might be bullying his daughter. But the truth he eventually uncovered was far more alarming than he had anticipated. When Mark discovered the reason behind the missing lunch money, he had no choice but to call 911. Multiple police cars rushed to the school, their sirens blaring, catching both teachers and students off guard. The unexpected arrival of law enforcement sent ripples of confusion through the school community. The headmaster emerged from his office, demanding an explanation, but the officers moved swiftly, ignoring him as they searched for the source of the issue. It didn't take them long to find what they were looking for. Mark had been right about his discovery, but what exactly had he uncovered? Why was Sophie's lunch money disappearing, and why was police intervention necessary? Before we dive into the details, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our stories. At Sophie's school, bringing your own lunch was seen as a sign of being poor and uncool. Sophie had expressed her fear of being bullied and had convinced her father to give her lunch money instead. Over the past week, she'd been borrowing money from a friend, and Mark had been transferring that money back to the friend's parents to compensate. However, this was becoming both costly and frustrating. Mark questioned Sophie repeatedly about how her money kept disappearing, but she never had an answer. Her usual fear of being bullied seemed to have escalated recently, making Mark suspect that someone was indeed taking her lunch money and that she was too afraid to admit it. Over the weekend, Mark decided to take matters into his own hands. After much thought, he concluded that he needed more information before taking further action. The best way to uncover the truth, he figured, was to secretly mic up his daughter. Feeling a mix of guilt and determination, Mark went to the store and bought a small, high-quality microphone. He carefully sewed it into a discreet section of Sophie's backpack, ensuring it was both hidden and functional. The next morning, Sophie left for school, unaware of her father's secret plan. Mark was a bundle of nerves as he waited for her return. Later that day, during a quiet moment at work, he listened to a portion of the recording. He heard the typical sounds of school life: chatter, laughter, and the shuffle of feet, but nothing out of the ordinary. When Sophie came home, she once again claimed her lunch money had disappeared. As usual, Mark transferred money to her friend's parents and kept his investigation a secret. That evening, after Sophie had gone to bed, Mark delved deeper into the recording, fast-forwarding to the lunchtime segment. He expected to hear signs of bullying or confrontation, but all he heard were normal school sounds. Confused by the lack of evidence, Mark decided to check the school's website. To his surprise, he found an announcement stating that lunches had been made free for all students over a week ago. Sophie hadn't mentioned anything about this. Realizing something wasn't adding up, Mark contacted Margaret, the mother of Sophie's friend. Margaret was equally surprised by the free lunch policy. She confirmed that her son had been giving money to Sophie, claiming she needed it for lunch. As the conversation unfolded, it became clear that both children had been misleading their parents. This revelation unsettled Mark, prompting him and Margaret to dig deeper. The parents reached out to others in the school community and discovered a troubling pattern. Many parents reported that their children had been asking for extra money for various reasons, including lunch. Determined to get to the bottom of this, they agreed to rely on the recordings from Sophie's mic and give it a week before taking their concerns to the school. For the first few days, Mark found nothing unusual in the recordings, even as Sophie continued to claim her lunch money was missing. Then something changed. Sophie came home one afternoon beaming with pride, having received one of her best grades on a recent test. Mark shared her joy, but when he mentioned it to the other parents, they reported similar stories of improved grades among their children. The coincidence was too pronounced to ignore. Mark listened to the latest recording with bated breath. What he heard confirmed his suspicions. Conversations among students hinted at a scheme far beyond innocent academic achievements. Without hesitation, Mark called 911 to report his findings. When police arrived at the school, they swiftly took action. The headmaster, shocked by the sudden disruption, demanded answers but received none as officers moved with purpose. Moments later, a well-liked teacher was escorted out in handcuffs. The revelation left students and teachers stunned. Mark stepped forward to explain the situation. The teacher had been selling good grades to students in exchange for money. As Mark's explanation sank in, disbelief and anger rippled through the crowd. It turned out that students had been secretly paying the teacher as much money as they could gather, hoping to secure better academic records. The teacher's actions led to a trial, where overwhelming evidence painted a clear picture of greed and manipulation. In the aftermath, the school community faced the daunting task of rebuilding trust. Parents united to recover the money taken from them, and students had to redo their tests to earn their grades honestly. Though the path forward was challenging, the community's determination to heal and learn from the experience was unwavering.